Major Lighty, and it's a wonderful song. It's actually a song that in the third verse resonates with me every time I sing it. And let me hear thee listen with accents clear and still. I think that's prayed a lot over me in truth. But this morning we've got someone else who's been from another country in a far-off land. Last week, if you recall, we had Miguel come up and speak about his experiences in South Africa over the summer months. We had 3 young people go overseas with Salvation Army groups on missions trips. Delighted to see Jessica back this morning, and she in due course will be speaking about her experience in Poland. But over the summer months, while I was on vacation, we actually visited the Lakeland Corps and had a precursor of this morning. I tell you, Jared is a fine, fine young man, and he had the opportunity this summer to go to Fiji. And I believe the Lord really used him in Fiji. So this morning, it's his opportunity to come and talk about what the Lord did in his life over his summer. Thank you, Jared.
All right, well, before I really get started, let me just dispel some rumors that this is not a skirt, it's called a sulu. And here, I'll step aside so everybody can get a good look. Oh, I'll come to this side too. So this is kind of the formal menswear that they usually wear over in Fiji. Actually, all the officers wear it, all the soldiers wear it. A lot of the children even wear it for their school uniforms. But yeah, it's called a sulu. So in the future, when you see me and you want to call it a skirt, just call it a sulu. All right? Make me feel a little bit better about myself. So this summer, obviously, I had the opportunity to go to Fiji, and man, it's hard to put into words just how incredible of an experience I had in this country, in this beautiful country. The people were just absolutely incredible, and that sounds like a really cliche thing to say, but there's really no other way to describe it. The people were just amazing. So if you don't know where Fiji is, it's about 11-hour plane flight from Los Angeles across the Pacific near New Zealand and Australia. And so I had the opportunity to go to this small island country called Fiji. And the first place we stopped was called the Sewanee Corps, and we landed on the western side of VT Levu, which is the primary island and the Fiji group. And we were welcomed like we were family, like we had been there many times before. They immediately sat us down and started playing some games with us, a game that is called Vindi Vindi, and it's where you like flick a checker piece almost and try to get other pieces into the holes. But they immediately just started playing these games with us, and they prepared this huge breakfast for us, and we just had a great time full of fellowship and laughter and just getting to know each other. And that first week was really spent participating in a lot of youth programs. And the Sewanee Corps has a huge young population, and many of them are young males, and they are huge into rugby, like you wouldn't believe. And if you don't know, Fiji won their first gold medal ever, and that was in rugby. So that was quite an accomplishment for them. And not only during that week did we do that, but we started building a shed, actually, and the Southern Territory has funded that shed project. And I don't know if it's any of the pictures up here, but man, we saw that thing from when the ground was just being laid to when it was finished, and it was pretty incredible. So we moved on to the next corps called Rocky Rocky. And it's on the northern coast of Fiji and was the hardest hit by the recent cyclone there. I don't know if you guys know about Cyclone Winston, but it hit in February of this year and caused quite extensive damage throughout the country. And so we did a lot of painting there, a lot of vacation Bible school programs, a lot of visitation, actually. That's something that the Fijians hold quite dear is just being able to visit and sit down and maybe have a cup of tea or something. We did that quite a bit this summer, and it was, gosh, I think I got just as much out of that as I did with the programs because you really get to know people in that way. And then we did something, and we actually got to see somebody's house that was rebuilt and totally destroyed after the cyclone, but was rebuilt by the Salvation Army and by volunteers from the Salvation Army. And his name was Max. He was actually the Corps Sergeant Major of that Rocky Corps. What an incredible man of God. Really dedicated to the Corps, walks there every day. Rocky's a small town. It's not very big, so it's not like he has a long ways to walk, but it's still a walk nonetheless. And his house was completely just blown away by this cyclone, right? And the Salvation Army actually took the effort, and almost all the officers from Fiji, from Viti Levu, the main island, came to help rebuild this guy's house for several weeks. I mean, that's incredible. So we got to see that and see the finished product of that. Then we actually returned to the Sewanee Corps after that and continued with some painting of the Corps. And we were able to kind of call them our home Corps in Fiji because that's what they were. They were our first Corps there, and they took us in like we were some of their own. And actually, there's a large number of the guys that stay at that Corps that actually live in the Corps building because they try to keep them away from the negative influences of the villages, which may include alcohol, drugs. It can be quite difficult for young men and women in the villages with all of the temptations that are present there. So a lot of the young men actually were living at the Corps at the time. They had these mats laid out in the Corps building that they would put out at nighttime, and they would stay there overnight. And then they would go off to work and then come back for Corps activities. So after that final week in Sewanee, we made our way to the capital of Fiji, Suva. And we were there for about 2.5 weeks. So that was where the majority of our time was spent. But we really built some strong relationships there with the youth. They were actually, quite a few of them were the same age as us. So it was really interesting to see some youth that are facing some of the same problems, but just in a different area of the world. So we built some really strong relationships with the youth there. We did a lot of vacation Bible school again at these Corps, and just really, really enjoyed the time with the kids. The kids were really responsive and really took a lot of excitement with them to these Corps activities. We actually were able to serve at some of the kindergartens, some of the local kindergartens around Suva, and many of them, the Salvation Army actually operates several kindergartens. So these schools are actually run by the Salvation Army, which is pretty incredible. You don't see that too much here in the U.S., but there it's quite prevalent as the church is kind of formally recognized by the people. And so we actually also did a lot of prison visitation. And let me tell you, some of those prisoners have some real talents, and they actually. The prison allows them to paint, and some of the paintings were some of the best I've ever seen in my life. They paint, and then they can sell those paintings for some return after they get out of prison. And so just some incredible men that really were willing to turn their lives around at this point in time. And the officer that took us to visit with them was pretty incredible in the way that he reached them. And we just had a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie, most of our time there was fun, no matter what we were doing, whether it was painting, whether it was visiting with people. It was fun, and that's a good thing to have, I think, because you have to have some sort of fun in a missions trip, or it's it's not quite the same if you go there with a very serious attitude. But we had a great time and had a lot of enjoyment with the people there. So Cyclone Winston was quite difficult for the people there, but we were able to really kind of serve as almost people were able to vent to us, able to kind of come to us with some of the things that they had really struggled with after the storm. There was a lot of, I know, not only physical need, but mental need and emotional need as well. So people needed somebody to come to and kind of bring them comfort and peace and maybe a little bit of fun too. So we were there to do that. And I think if there's anything I took from Fiji is that there's about 4 different things. Overwhelmingly, their sense of community. I've never been to a place where I've seen so much community and so many people just coming together to help each other. And actually, most of the island is broken up into villages. So quite frankly, they live in community. And then just that they take everybody in as like a brother or a sister, be it in God or in reality. I mean, they love to just call you brother or call you sister, and just treat you like them too. And then they just show overwhelming love to strangers. People that they've never met before are just so willing to help, so willing to stop and give a hand. Things that you just don't see every day. And then their willingness to witness to people. And I saw this as their kind of primary drive. A lot of the officers, they just want to reach people. They want to be a witness to people. And same with the Corps members. That's their goal. And essentially as Corps, we're not meant to be stagnant and to stay in the Corps building. We're meant to go out and to be almost outpost in the sense in that we're going out and we're supposed to be ministering to people. And that's what they take it as, that they're a mobile army. They're not meant to be a stagnant, just sitting there army. They're mobilized. And so they really have this strong sense of community, and that's what I think I took most. And I'm going to share with you a verse, Romans 12, verse 9 to 13. And this is what it says. Love must be sincere, hate what is evil, cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need, and practice hospitality. That's what they did, and I can't be a testimony to that except by living that, and so that's what I'm really trying to do since I've been back, is really take the example that these Fijians set for me, and hopefully I can live a little bit like them. So, in the words of the Fijians, Vinaka, which is thank you for all of your support, and for all of your prayers and everything. I truly appreciate it, and I had an amazing time. So thank you, and God bless.